Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kostuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kostuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Makeover Monday, Moda Goodness Monday. We're back up early. You know, Mara, she sleeps in. She gets into those sleep-in Sundays. I'm just like, Moda Ignorant Sundays, we're going to call them if we keep sleeping in that hard.
I like my sleep-in Sundays.
Back to Moda Goodness Monday, Kostuba. It's a new day, a new week. What do you say we do a Sweet Baby Krishna tonight, Mara?
Oh, all right.
Let's do an 8 p.m. Sweet Baby Krishna for all those Patreon members. Hey, I want you to know, Patreon is the way we keep this thing going. If you like what we're doing, you know, you hear it before, and you hear me say this all the time, but it really is. And somehow our Patreon went down. It shouldn't be going down. It should be going up. It went down.
Okay.
But anyway,
that's because you got to do a little more. You got to offer a little more. So that's great that you're doing more Sweet Baby Krishna.
Well, I'm not really doing it for the money. I'm just doing it because I like Sweet Baby Krishna. But while I'm at it, talking about it, throw a little love our way if you like what we're doing. You make a daily contribution or a monthly contribution, whatever you want. Monthly contribution. If you're already doing that, you know, if you're giving $2, give $4. Come on.
All right, we're gonna.
Okay. Kostuba gets.
I don't like hard sale pitches.
I'm not hard selling. I'm just saying double it. Double it.
All right, stop.
Anyway, it's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. And I really, really want to thank everybody who does contribute, because me and Kostuba love doing this. Mara loves doing this.
Sometimes.
And sometimes. And yeah, we want to figure out, we're not just doing it and resting on our laurels. We're really, really thinking, meeting on the regular. How to expand this.
Oh, yeah, that we are. Yeah, that's true.
How to expand this all the time. Are you kidding? That's all we got going through our brain.
No, I thought you meant, but for the actual show, you just show up. Yeah, for the actual show.
Saying?
Oh, you know it's true.
There's a lot behind the scenes, Prabhu.
I know, and you're not involved in any of it.
Well, I've got a secret for you, but I can't share it. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
By the way, I should be more Krishna conscious, but you know what I am right now?
I don't know. Oh, Stonewall conscious.
I'm stone
conscious.
Stone conscious.
I saw the photographs. I was impressed, actually. I was impressed.
Well, I got news for you. Everywhere I'm looking at stone. We're going on Joppa Walk. I'm like, oh, there's a stone. There's a stone. We're referring to the stone wall I'm building. And everything is stones. And then I just got the green light from my neighbor, who's got this old dry laid stone wall, like on the periphery of his property, but it's sort of covered over by weeds. And he goes, take whatever you want. I was like,
hold
are
it,
you
Raghunath. That defeats your very theory of the eternality of the stone wall. If you can just take them down. I thought that thing.
It doesn't matter because, you know, it's sort of like they have a life in themselves. Each stone is a sort of a being, you know.
All right.
And they just, you know, they've had different incarnations
Okay,
themselves. Sometimes they're part of a house, sometimes they're part of a wall.
You're talking about the wall, how solid this thing and lasts. Who knows how long your wall is going to last if you can just break them down and build new ones anytime.
But then where will it go? It'll go back to something else.
Oh, it's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
Okay.
Anyway,
No, I was impressed. I didn't know you had actually that many big rocks like that, Raghunath. That was
I was trying to tell you, I've been saving
didn't
rocks
believe
for
you.
like 8 years.
I didn't believe
Different
you.
parts of the property,
I didn't
piles
believe
of
you.
rocks.
No, you really did.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well done.
You know, you'll get something, Kostuba, out of this if you come and help me move rocks around. It's exhausting and exhilarating.
Yeah, it's just a question of what I'll get.
You'll get some calluses,
injured.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
You might get injured, but I can't tell you, but it's incredibly. I come in at night. Tell Mara, just tell them. Tell the people. How do I feel?
Exhausted and really happy.
Really, really joyful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right.
we'll see how it comes about.
All right, let's keep this moving now, Raghunath.
All right. So it's
I'll come up
Monday.
and visit soon. I'll come up and visit soon, and we'll take a good look at that
Okay.
wall.
Well, we're going up to Rhode Island for a little. I'm going to do some writing, but we're going to stay right next door neighbors with the Pag and the Chief.
Okay.
Corey Pag and the Chief.
How long are you going to stay there?
We're going to stay there for the week.
They're like, what?
Like a Tuesday through a Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Oh, so more than a week, like over a week, you're going to stay
No,
there.
Tuesday to Thursday. That's 3 days.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's like you're hardly even there. You arrive on
All right.
Tuesday.
Well, whatever.
All right.
They can,
All
you
right,
can only
that's cool.
take us in small doses.
All right. Let's hear the announcements for today.
We have Back to Recovery group meetings today at 1, 2, and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be
Okay.
doing Sweet Baby Krishna tonight at 8 p.m.
Awesome.
Also, yeah, Sweet Baby Christian tonight, 8 p.m. Also, Chant Camp is almost sold out. September 1st through the 4th. That's Labor Day weekend. Kostuba might even show up for it.
I plan on
Lori
coming. As long as you give me
Pag.
a decent spot to lay my head there.
There's no room, man. You got a couch.
Come on, man. You got to hook
You
me
can
up.
snuggle. You can snuggle with Gus.
We have a bed for you, Kostuba.
But where? Where are you going to put that bed?
Gus
Thank
Gus
you.
is a person too. And Lori Pag and Raghu Flow, Fly, and Chant September 8th through 10th.
Flow,
BR
fly, and chant. Oh, that's new. Okay.
No, that's what it always was. Flow, Fly, and Chant.
I don't
That's
remember. I
September
remember
8th through the 10th, and then
flying
BRG
school,
retreat.
flight school and stuff like that. But this flow, fly, and chant. That's
We're sort of mixing it up.
Sure.
BRG retreat September 28th through October 1st.
And let's not get into a big long thing right now, but I think everything's up there on our website now. If you go to the website and you go to events, you'll find the wisdom training there, and you'll also find the Mayapur retreat.
Super excited for that.
And if you're going to the wisdom training or to the 300 hour,
It's a good add on.
you add that thing on, and you really got a powerful experience.
Yeah.
Mayapur is going to be beautiful. It's going to be deeply spiritual. This is for people that are into it, that want to go really deeper into Sri Chaitanya, learning about Gaudiya Vaishnavism, learning about this lineage and where it stems from. We're going to go right to the heart of where it all comes from.
The Mayapur
We're gonna-
retreat is for those who like sort of identify themselves as I'm a Krishna devotee.
Yeah.
We have like a whole rainbow of different a
Rainbow.
spectrum of different people that listen to the show. Some people just listen to the show because they want positive advice. I've got emails from people that just say, people I would never expect listen to the show. It's like, yeah, I got so much out of your show today. But people aren't into Krishna Bhakti at all, but they just feel like, I like this message. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then we got people who are like really studying, the lineage and the philosophy. And like probably everybody here on Zoom are getting like seriously into it. So this is for a retreat of people who are sort of like really into it. They've sort of like opted in. And it's like, this is what I'm into.
It's a life changer. It's somewhere you need to go if you're a follower of Sri Chaitanya.
Yeah. It's a special trip. Looking forward to
So
it.
that information is all. You go to wisdomofthesages.com, you click on events, you're going to find that stuff.
Mhm. All right, let's dive into this. Ready?
Nugget.
Here's our nugget for the day.
Who's it from?
Where's our nug? Okay. Yes, here. This is from Carl Jung. Jung.
Jung. Yeah.
Your vision will
of course,
become.
hold on. Here's a little bio. Swiss psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and he founded analytical psychology, Raghunath.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
It's very in vogue to quote Carl Jung.
Is it?
So here I am. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside wakes.
Okay.
I wonder how much stuff of this from Carl Jung and stuff was co-opted, borrowed from
That
Eastern
sounds like
thought.
it's Upanishadic in nature.
Yeah, I think these guys were really interested by Eastern thought. I don't know.
I would like to, before the show, I tried to look it up a little bit. Some reason my internet connection was just slow and it wasn't opening up the pages I was trying to open up. But trying to get the context of the statement and exactly what he was referring to. I don't know if he may be saying that we project externally. We project. There's some ego projection, of who I am, some projection of our identity, and that's unreal. But there's us inside, and that's who we really are. That's real. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
we project naturally. We project false identities, but inside the real us is experiencing. So even that's not far off or inconsistent. But when I read this and I think of it in terms of Bhagavatam and in the text that we read, I think that in a sense we're saying, what the Bhagavatam is saying, that you could say that this world is a dream. In one sense, it's real and unreal, right? Because it is, in our dreams, we kind of reflect visions that we've had in quote unquote reality. And what's presented in Bhagavatam is that this world is kind of a reflection of a more true reality, an eternal reality. So when we look at this world, when we look at my body and identify with it, when I look at my external circumstances, that all these things they're dreamlike, they're shifting, they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. In one sense, they're not real. In one sense, they're real, but in another sense, they're unreal. If you use the standard that Bhagavad Gita uses for real, which means that it's eternal, then then this world is a dream, and the only thing that's real in this world is us.
I'm a spirit self.
Yeah, is
it's
me.
Gotta be true.
I am spiritual energy. Yeah.
To be true, it has to be true in 3 phases of time: past, present, and future. That makes it sat, eternal. Otherwise, everything is asat. So when I look outside, I'm looking at what I am in this world. And I can go through many, many different identities in the course of the day. I drop off the kids at school. I present myself to my teachers, and I'm presenting myself. There's a presentation going on. Then I go to the gym, and I'm presenting myself. There's a presentation amongst the other people working out. Then I go to the workplace, and there's a presentation. And part of that presentation is I am this person in the workplace. I'm the boss, or I'm the secretary, or I'm the assistant. And then there's you go home to your loved one. There's almost a presentation. And like, what am I underneath all these roles? What am I underneath all these titles? What underneath am I next to these letters after my name, PhD or MD or Esquire or whatever it is? What am I outside the presentation? And this is what the Bhagavatam, or this is what Carl Jung is calling, who looks inside wakes.
Yeah.
So
you're actually dealing with reality. Everything external, in one sense, is not reality.
And it's not just like woo-woo talk here. This is actually, it's not woo-woo.
I didn't think it was.
It's not woo-woo. Because all those things are actually temporary. They're actually all temporary. Even if like, well, no, I've worked hard. I've become a concert pianist. What happens if the concert pianist, who was this one we were just? Maya Shankara. She was a violinist, and she lost her. What did she lose? Her ability to play the violin somehow. Yeah. I'm not sure.
It's not going there. No. Then it's
So if you've created this identity, like Maya Shankar did, this whole identity around I am a violinist, and you lose that ability for some reason or another to play the violin, play the piano, make a banjo if you're a banjo maker. can't make banjos anymore. All of a sudden, you have to redefine who you are, or you're a dancer and you can't dance, or an ice skater and can't ice skate. Then all of a sudden, what am I underneath? Do I have any identity outside the occupation or outside of my my outer identity? And this is what we find in the Bhagavatam on a regular basis. They say, yeah, you have identity with the small I, but there's an identity underneath that as well. That's the capital I.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know,
Was that a okay, I agree, or a okay, shut up and move on?
No, that was an okay, I agree.
It
That
sounded
wasn't
like,
even
okay, enough of you.
No, it was like that. There you go. It was like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Step aside.
But I wanted to say that what Bhagavad Gita lays out clearly, right, at the beginning of the 7th chapter, when it says, there's 2 kinds of energy, right, that we're dealing with in this universe. You can divide into 2. There's material energy, which is constantly shifting and not conscious. And there's spiritual energy, which is eternal and conscious. That right there, just take that, and run with it. That's going to answer so many questions on the level of science. It's going to answer so many questions on the level of psychology. It's going to answer so many questions, just like practical questions about like, what should be my priorities in life and how should I live to be a happier person? It's giving an answer. Now, you don't have to necessarily accept it, but an objective person should be willing to entertain it, to engage with it. And you know what? That's going to play out today in the show. There's going to be some interesting stuff. I saw a very interesting YouTube video.
Short? A YouTube short?
Not a short.
Go down that rabbit hole?
A longer one. A longer one.
you go down a deeper, wider rabbit hole.
But we can talk about it later. But it relates to all this. But I would like to investigate Carl Jung's the context of this. But there's a nice connection there, I think, right? Yeah, when you think about it, right? If I am spirit and I'm in a body made of matter, that's all of my instruments of perception, my senses, they're material and they're limited to perceiving what is material. And I have no access to other spiritual, like I can't see your spirit, Raghunath. I can only see your body, and like Krishna in his spiritual form aren't appearing in front of me, or so really everything that I'm looking at is matter, and in that sense is illusion. And there's only one thing that I really have full contact with, and that's my own consciousness, my own experience, myself as the experiencer. That's my spirit. That I'm looking at that. I'm looking at reality. I'm looking away from that. I'm looking at illusion. I'm looking at a dream. It's a deep thought. Something worth considering.
A lot of these looking out identities, oftentimes they're layers of skin we have to shed too. Anyway, layers of skin,
like an onion skin.
Like an onion skin. I was going with the snake skin, but yeah, like an onion. To get to that authentic skin, or we just realize as time goes on, I'm not this guy anymore. I'm not this guy anymore. Some people
get more authentic.
Some people will look at it as like, well, you're selling out. You're not this guy anymore. No, we change. It's time. We change. We don't want to be that guy anymore. We want to grow up from being that guy. It's okay to let that go. It's okay to shed a skin. The snake's not proving, I'm going to just keep this skin on. Shed your skin.
Yeah, get out of that skin.
Okay. It might be enough. We might have beat that.
All right.
You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should have respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 49. We're in it. We're in it to win it, Kastuba.
We are, Raghunath. We certainly are. And we are we are hearing the story of Ajamila, right?
Yeah.
He was a Brahmin. He was engaged in his dharmic lifestyle. He witnessed a man,
He had
and
a slip.
prostitute.
He had a slip.
Slipped. He became obsessed.
We've
with
all
the
gone there, right?
I don't know if we've all gone there, but he became obsessed with her. We're going to hear in more detail, because as the any case, he became obsessed with her, became a criminal, harmed others.
Been there, done that.
To support the prostitute. He married the prostitute, had lots of kids with her. He's on his deathbed.
No, didn't do that.
And he cries out the name of his son, which just happens to also be the name of Narayan, a name of Krishna,
Lord
or
Vishnu,
name of Lord Vishnu, Narayan. He calls out Narayan, Narayan. And at that moment, just as the Yamadutas, the messengers of Yama, the Lord of Death, the judge, the one who will condemn you to do time in dark places in the universe, these terrifying creatures with twisted faces, they're showing up, and they've got these subtle ropes, and they're pulling his soul out
subtle
of his
body. Yeah.
And they're about to pull him, and he calls out Narayan, Narayan, and whoo, these like angels come, right? It's like the Vishnu Dutas, the four-armed, beautiful complexions, and glowing, beautiful jewelry, and voices that rumble like thunder, very beautiful voices. And they say, "Stop! You cannot take him." And now there's a little debate going on, like, according to Dharma, what's right, what's wrong here? The Yamadutas are saying, we've got every right to take him because he did all of this horrible, sinful stuff, and he never atoned for it. So the way that he's going to, now what he's meant to experience is life in the hellish planets for some time, and we're here to drag him down. Just look, here's the evidence. This is how he lived. And the Vishnudus are saying, you don't understand the merciful nature of Krishna, that if there's even just a drop of bhakti there, we come, right? And this man, he chanted this name, and he chanted it inoffensively, and that's all it takes. The Yamadutas aren't aware of this, so the debate is going on right now. But you know what's interesting? You picture these Yamadutas, right? These terrifying ogre-like, I don't, just even not even ogre,
like boogeymen.
Okay, if that's what you want to call them.
Well,
they're really terrifying and scary. But they're sitting out right now. They're kind of just like,
but they're philosophical boogeymen.
Yeah, they're laying out like philosophical lawyers. They're laying out a case right now, and it's truth. Like they're giving truth. Like what they're speaking isn't untrue. There's just a truth the truth of bhakti transcends it. But what they're saying, they're speaking about how the world works, and it's accurate. So 49 is really interesting. Let's read 49 through 52. Okay, and they're going to give us a picture of what's going on in this world and how we're living. You're itching, Raghunath. I think you're dry. I think you need self-abhyanga.
A little abhyanga? All right.
Yeah.
I'm always itching. I'm like my sheep. I'm always finding a tree and scratching my back against a tree.
Country life can be like that a lot. You a lot of stuff to make you itch.
Country life, you itch and you don't mind. You city people don't itch as much. Yeah, it's part of living upstate. Come upstate, I'll itch you. Text 49. As a sleeping person acts according to...
Slow. We got to think about this, Raghunath. You're really
I was thinking.
But I couldn't think as fast as you were reading.
Thinker.
Okay.
As a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams, right?
Yeah.
And accepts it to be himself. Mm-hmm. So one identifies with his present body. which he acquires because of his past religious or irreligious actions,
Yeah,
right? Your
dharmic
dharmic
or
or adharmic activity. You've got this body you're in now. It's not
Okay.
random. Lori Pag's got Lori Pag's body, or Kylie's got Kylie's body, or Danielle's got Danielle's body. It's not random. It's perfectly planned by your desires and by your choices.
Mhm.
Some people say, well, no, why would I desire this? Or why would I want, I want it to be taller. Why aren't I taller? Well, we've done something to give us this body. It's not random, although it appears random to us.
It's a
We just don't
combination
know the
of
backstory.
a combination of deserve and desire, right? So there's your desire, but then it's measured up. What's your bank account of either good or bad karma?
Mm.
And then the combination creates the next body.
And also there's this thing where it's sort of like, well, why would I want to have this unhealthy body? Well, like we see that in this life. People say, like, I want to be healthy, but I don't want to live healthy. I don't want to choose to do anything physical. I don't want to take care of my body. I don't want to eat healthy. And therefore you don't get a healthy body. So it's sort of like, yeah, why would you get this particular body if you're complaining about your body? Because you chose it. Well, why would I have chose that? People choose things that are not good for them all the time. You can see that in the macro way, or even within this lifetime, even in the course of a day, we choose things that aren't good for us.
Mm.
As a sleeping person acts, I'm going to read this again.
Yeah.
As a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams.
When you're in a dream, you have a body and you don't question it. You don't question, do I have another body beyond this body?
No,
Did
you
I have
think
one
that's it.
before? Will I have one after? No, you're just living in that body and you're not even questioning it. This is my body. This is me.
You know what I woke up to this morning? A samosa festival. I dreamt I was with a bunch of devotees eating different samosas. And I was like, this
That
is
is
incredible. That's how I woke up, eating a samosa. Isn't that a great
Okay.
dream?
Sure.
I didn't question it. As a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams, eating a samosa, and accepts it to be himself, so one identifies with his present body,
Yeah,
which he
this is me.
acquired because of his past good or bad actions, and is unable to know his past or future lives. You don't
Okay,
know.
so the fact that we're identifying with this body is just like we identify with the body in a dream.
Mhm.
Okay, next verse, text 50.
Above the five senses of perception, the five working senses and the five objects of the senses is the mind, which is the 16th element.
Okay.
Above the mind is the 17th element, the soul, the
Okay.
living being himself, who, in cooperation with the other 16, enjoys the material world alone. The living being enjoys three kinds of situations, namely happy, distressful, and mixed. How are you
Okay.
today, Kostua? Are you happy,
I'm
distressed, or
mixed.
mixed? You're mixed? I'm a little mixed too. I mean, I'm happy. I woke up a little happy today.
Yeah,
I
you're
went to bed
peppy
a
then.
little. I went to bed a little distressed. I don't know why.
Okay.
And then now I'm saying I'm sort of like mixed. Like if I meditate on some bad things, I could get a little.
Come right back.
Right now, I'm a little happy.
But
How are
but
you,
here
Mara?
here's
Mara's always the same. She's like even Steven.
Okay. But yeah, so here's a little, we come across this many times in Bhagavatam. We come across it in Gita, Bhagavad Gita. As a matter of fact, we're reading 15th chapter. You keeping up your 15th chapter reading? going on?
Every day, my brother.
All right.
Not only that, Kostuba's referring to this month. We're reading the 15th chapter every day. We just finished it before the show.
Excellent.
But
yeah.
I want to just share. Now I want to read a chapter, or at least 20 verses of a chapter every day after this month is over.
Oh,
Like we're doing it
nice.
for this month. We're doing the 15th chapter, but
Yeah, chapter. a
why
day.
not? Why not do that?
Makes life better.
It makes, you know what? After we read the 15th chapter this morning, I was like, life is better. What a great way to
Yeah.
start your morning.
Yeah.
I felt clean. I felt happy.
Yep. Now, in that 15th chapter, we're hearing something very similar to this, right? The living entity thus takes another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind.
Mm-hmm.
He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Yep.
Right. So it's saying the same thing here, that we have our senses. We're in a virtual reality, and we're given certain equipment. We see the world through the mind, right? We experience the world through the mind. The mind is like the computer that we're seeing the world through. The senses are like the plug-in devices. The eyes are the camera, the ears are the microphone, etc. And then there are objects to connect with through those senses. And we get plugged into that, and it's going to go deeper into this, the nature of the mind and so on. Why don't you read text 51?
The subtle body is endowed with 16 parts: the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, the 5 working senses, the 5 objects of sense gratification, and the mind. The subtle body
Should we
is
describe just super briefly what that? I know you don't like
I don't want to. He can.
All right. So the 5 knowledge acquiring senses are the ones that we're familiar with. You know, the ear, the eyes, the nose, the skin, the tongue. You know, it's like that.
It's what you learn in 2nd grade.
Yeah, and then the 5 working senses means like the ability to grip and manipulate things like that, the ability to move, the voice, the ability to project sound, and then the organs of evacuation and the organs of reproduction. Those are the 5 working senses. So we have 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Those are the senses that we're familiar with. The 5 working senses. Then there's the objects of the senses. You know, the things that can be smelled or seen or touched and so on like that. And it's saying, so that's the virtual reality that we're moving around it. And then we have this mind through which all of that's connected. That's the center of it all. You know, the senses are connected to it, and the senses connect to the sense objects. And that's the network that we move through this world to try to find our happiness. Okay.
50. We're still on 52.
This subtle body.
Oops, wait. What text are we on? I lost my spot. 51. Okay.
Yeah. Start from the beginning.
Okay. The subtle body is endowed with 16 parts: the 5 knowledge acquiring, the 5 working senses, the 5 objects of sense gratification, and the mind.
Okay.
The subtle body is an effect of the 3 modes of material nature, of the gunas. It is composed of insurmountably strong desires, and therefore it causes the living entity to transmigrate from one body to another in human life, animal life, and life as a demigod.
Okay,
That could be fun.
Well, it's going to say that actually you're thinking like Bhagavatam now, because it's saying when you're in that demigod body, you're jubilant. So
yeah, you're probably happy all the time. Maybe not true.
Not always, but there's a lot
into fights with the demons or the asuras.
There's a lot of enjoyment.
When the living entity gets the body of a demigod, he is certainly very jubilant. And when he gets a human body, he's always in lamentation. Yeah, humans are always lamenting. Even if they've got like everything, they're always like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It never ends. It never ends.
Yeah.
Should be, we're going to do that. There's just hope for a plan. And then we could do this. Dream big. Isn't that just like hope? How about just be here? Stop all your big dreaming and just be here. Living in dreams, and because tied to those big dreams is also lamenting for the past. Part of living in your mind in the future is also living in the past. Like, I should have done that. Why was I doing that? Those were the good old days. Let's reminisce about the good old days. It's living in the mind. Okay. So the humans are lamenting, the demigods are jubilant, and when he gets the body of an animal, boom, he's always afraid. That's the life of an animal, right? There's so many deer, there's so many deer floating around here, and you sort of want to go up and pet them, but they're always like, you're going to kill me. You're going to kill me. And they're like running for their life. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to pet you. I'm going to feed you grass. Back off, deer. Come on. I'm your friend. Every animal is thinking, they're going to kill me. And then I saw this other horrible. There's 3.
Here we go. We don't need to hear
about the 3 birds. They got these cameras on the bird feeder. And there's 3.
Yes, you did tell us about this on the show the other day. And
I did.
Hawk came and took all 3 at one time.
Raptor came and took all 3 birds in a moment.
Okay.
That's material life. It's like I'm just eating. And all of a sudden something's coming in and killing me.
I thought you were going to talk about the turtle that we saw yesterday.
Oh, yeah. We saw a snapping turtle crossing the road.
Oh, no.
And what about it?
It also wouldn't let you help it.
Oh, see, I wanted to help that turtle. I was like, okay, turtle, I'm your friend. Listen. You're about to get run over. It's like the worst thing that could happen to you. Your shell can no longer protect you from a car. Okay? Let me move you to the side of the road. And he's like, no, you're trying to kill me. I want to fight you. I want to bite you. And that's the problem that's a problem. They're living in fear because
Okay.
things are trying to kill them.
Okay.
But I'm not. So there's a type of deep ignorance within an animal body, and there's a type of like you're always getting preyed upon also, which is also horrible.
Okay.
Imagine, Kostuba, every time you sit down and take prashad, you're like, oh, there's a great chapati. Is somebody trying to kill me? Like every time you eat, there's a guy with a club right behind you whacking you in the head. That's what a bird is like. He's always looking around. The deer is like eating, looking around. What a horrible existence.
Well,
People
read the
think, "Oh, I
next
wanna be-"
sentence, and you'll see.
Okay.
All conditions.
The foolish embodied living entity, inept.
No. You hadn't finished
Just
this
read
yet.
that. I read this.
You said that in the previous verse,
In all conditions, however, he's actually miserable.
even the demigod.
He's always, in whatever condition, whether you're a demigod or human or an animal, you're ultimately miserable, actually miserable. His miserable condition is called samsriti, or transmigration in material life.
Okay. Now, one more verse. Read this text 52.
The foolish embodied living entity, inept at controlling his senses and mind. It's just us. That's us in the concept of, I want to be free. I'm free. You're not free, fool.
Why am I going to the refrigerator? Why am I, why am I doing this?
Why am I drinking another beer? It's not 10 a.m.
Okay.
Anyway.
Read the verse.
I was going to talk about those people who are staying.
No, read the verse.
No. Okay. The foolish embodied living entity, inept at controlling his senses and mind, is forced to act according to the influence of the modes of material nature against their desires, against his own desires.
Now, here comes the analogy.
He is like a silkworm that uses its own saliva to create a cocoon. It's interesting. These people just study these things and come up with these analogies, and then becomes trapped in it with no possibility of getting out. Is that what the silkworms do? They get trapped in their own cocoon and then they die?
Yeah.
Or do they become butterflies?
Well, I don't know what happens naturally,
Silkworms
but
become
when they make the
butterflies?
silk. In any case, the point is that you trap yourself, right? That it's saying that we're spinning a cocoon of karma that we entrap ourselves in. It's not that someone else comes in and traps us. We create a trap based on our own decisions in life, and we get all trapped up in it. Finish the verse.
That's a good analogy. It's like building a house from the inside. You forget to put a door in it. So yeah, it's like a silkworm.
Something like that.
It's like, oh crap. So it's the same type of thing. Silkworms, our own doing ties us up. You don't even have to. No one else has to tie us up. We do it with our own desires.
So finish this verse.
Thus, he's always bewildered.
Hold it.
The living entity traps himself as a network.
Just read the whole verse again.
The foolish embodied living entity, inept at controlling his senses and mind, is forced to act according to the influence of the gunas against his desires. He is like a silkworm that uses its own saliva to create a cocoon and then becomes trapped in it with no possibility of getting out. The living entity traps himself in a network of his own fruitive activities and then can find no way to release himself. Thus, he is always bewildered and repeatedly he dies. And they always chant this famous mantra. You know what it is, Mara? What was I thinking? What was I thinking? We've done stuff.
I thought you were going to say a Sanskrit mantra. I was like, what?
This is the silkworm mantra. What was I thinking? Oh, why? What did I do? What was I thinking?
Yeah, or even we may not even understand that it was our own. When they say it used its own saliva, it means, in other words, its entrapment came entirely from within itself, and our entrapment comes entirely from our desires that are within ourselves, right? And we're just wrapping it tighter, tighter, and tighter, and tighter. Now think about this, Raghunath. These last 4 verses, they provided a picture of what we're experiencing in this world.
Yep.
That a philosopher can engage with, or any person that wants to think about what life is and what's its meaning and so on, is free to engage with, right? To think about. And so here's the summary of what it is that although we're predisposed to identify with our bodies, actually our relationship to them
is similar to the relationship that we have with the body in a dream, right? It's kind of unreal, and that we're locked into dreamlike bodies with senses designed for the purpose of enjoying correlating sense objects,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're operating cognitively through a more subtle faculty called the mind, which is programmed with very strong desires. And we struggle with the mind, and we endeavor to satisfy those desires. That becomes our struggle in life. That's what we do from when we wake up until we go to bed at night. We're struggling to satisfy those desires in the mind. And that there's a law called karma, which is delivering results which correspond to our endeavors to satisfy those desires in the shape of mixed experiences of happiness and distress. And also in new bodies, right? It also karma is going to provide the new body according to how we act in that endeavor. And that when you add it all up, this whole experience is one of misery, right? It's repeated death, it's repeated birth, it's repeated suffering.
Happy Monday.
And therefore we're like silkworms. Through our own choices and actions, we spin a cocoon of karma, and we entrap ourselves. It requires nothing but our own doing, and we entrap ourselves. Now, that is not like some simplistic religious dogma. That is encouraging us to think, right? Like look at your life, and it's not just saying like, here's God, surrender, or you go to hell, or something like that. It's saying, think about your life.
Think about your choices on a daily basis.
Yeah, consider this, and this is the birth of spiritual. Consider that you're not your body. Just that, this spark of consciousness is made of something that's entirely different from your body, and that's you. And I wanted to share that. I mentioned this YouTube thing that I saw, right?
Yeah, what was it?
So, it was
Kostuba watch on YouTube. That is the question today. What is he watching?
So it was a panel discussion.
Oh, that sounds boring. Go on.
And it was a panel discussion of all these scientists, and they were like, a lot of them were like these really famous kind of popular scientists. Like it had Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it had Richard Dawkins.
You're really boring me now. Okay, just joking.
And it had Bill Nye.
Okay.
And a few others. Those are the three that I knew of. And in this clip, Richard Dawkins says that the question that he would really like to know the answer to is, what is consciousness? Because it's totally baffling. All right. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson says this. He says that he thinks that consciousness has baffled us for sure, for a long time. And the evidence of that is that people keep writing books about it. Because like if we had the answer to it, it's kind of done. But when you don't know the answer to the question, scientists are writing books all the time about it. So consciousness is the big question,
Right.
And so he says, and I'm going to read a quote from him. He says, so I wonder, Richard, what I wonder, Richard, is whether there really is no such thing as consciousness at all. And then Richard Dawkins kind of nods appreciative, like, yes.
Yes.
Like
there's nothing.
perhaps,
There's nothing.
You're getting somewhere, So he says, I wonder, Richard, is whether there is really no such thing as consciousness at all. And that there's some other understanding of the functioning of the human brain that renders the question obsolete. Now, that statement is entirely and utterly absurd. Because you can't even ask the question without being conscious. It's just stupid. It's just like, it's absurd. And you know what? Bill Nye, who I really know nothing about. You know who he is? The guy with the little bow tie and all that?
Nope.
When he said that, Bill Nye was just like, oh, he started mocking him. Actually, he's like, oh wow, he was acting like he was stoned or something like that. He says, that's what I've got to say is like, wow, like, am I thinking?
or am I just like thinking that I'm thinking, wow? And then he pretended like he was taking a hit off a bong. It's just like what you just, and here's my point. Here's my point, right? Is like these men are obviously very intelligent, but for the logical place for them, they're admitting we're baffled by consciousness. Tons of people are writing books on it. Tons of people are doing research on it, and we're getting nowhere. So at that point, rather than say, maybe these ancient books like the Upanishads really had, maybe they were onto something. Maybe consciousness is the symptom of a different type of energy that can't be perceived by material means. That would be a logical place to go. That we're searching here, and we're searching. It definitely exists. Consciousness exists, and we're searching and searching and searching within the realm of what our senses can perceive through empiric science, and we can't find it. We're baffled. So rather than say maybe these books are right, maybe it's something that can't be perceived. Maybe it's a different type of energy. Rather than say that very logical thing, they say maybe consciousness doesn't exist. They say something absolutely absurd, because you can't even ask the question whether consciousness exists without being conscious. And Bill Nye had the honesty to say, to more or less, to mock that and say, come on, how can you even ask the question of whether consciousness exists if you're not conscious? And that gets back to to the story that we always use. If you lose your keys at nighttime and you're searching under the street light and you're not finding them, and someone comes by and says, oh, you lost them? Yeah, I lost my keys. You lost them around here? No, I lost them over there. Well, why aren't you looking over there? Well, because the light is better here. Right? It's like it's so my point is that here's an idea, right? That we're a spark of spiritual energy. We're entirely non-material. We don't operate by the laws that affect matter, namely, especially time, but that we're currently operating under a law, which is designed to help us, which is called karma, which is designed to help us align our choices and actions with reality. But when we act in ignorance of karma, then through our own activities, we're spinning a cocoon of karma that we become entrapped in. Now, what Bhagavatam is saying is, consider this idea, right? We're not, we're not just, trying to force a religious conception on you without. No, we're asking you to think, asking you to open up your mind and be truly objective. And if you're truly objective, you'll find what I saw come out in that conversation is, currently science has no ability to describe what the hell is going on here, right? Because if you can't tell us what consciousness is, then you don't know what the hell is going on here. But rather than even entertain the possibility that these millennia old texts have to say, which are very brilliant, and a lot of brilliant minds have found a lot of really interesting thought in them, rather than even entertain that, rather you'll turn to complete absurdity,
Right,
and say maybe consciousness doesn't exist.
there's something like the scientific repulsion from anything spiritual, any spiritual text. No. I think there's going to be a switch over.
It's
where
got
where,
it's got
where
to
it's
shift.
going to be like, you know what? There's spiritual scientists everywhere. There's a whole group. Again, it's getting bigger and vaster, and they are accepting that consciousness is not just a phenomenon of the brain. It is actually the self. I could see this in the same way people didn't understand vegetarianism in the 70s and 80s, just a fringe culture. I can see this becoming very, very mainstream, how scientists accept consciousness. Give it 20 years.
Or at the very least, accept it as a possibility, right? And leave the door open that here's an explanation. Maybe we can't prove it, right? But
it's not even the thing is, they're not that familiar with Vedic teachings. All they know is a Judeo-Christian concept of God. So they sort of they hear a little bit of things that worship of demigods, or they don't quite get it. I think if they were more familiar with it, maybe they'd opt into it more.
I think the reason
that some are so hesitant to it, is because once you accept that there's another category of energy
I like where you're going with this.
called called spiritual energy, what it does is it just shakes the entire thing up.
Well,
right?
also because if you really want to be right now, they're at the top of their game. If you think of like the bigger scientists, they're at the top of the game.
It out. Yeah.
If to be at the top of the game in Vedic science, it's not like you're just a great mind. You have to have the character, the adhikar, the qualification spiritually by your behavior, by the way you take care of your body, you treat your body, to really get divine knowledge. You have to have, your heart has to change. It's not just some book learning. What do you think about that?
I've been thinking about that every day because we've been reading the 15th chapter every day, right? And exactly what you're thinking, like the 15th chapter, you're thinking like Krishna, because just like I'm saying, there are these similar verses to what we just read here, right? The living entity in the material world carries the different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, they take on one kind of body and again quit it to take on another, right? So there's the temporary material bodies and there's the eternal self, conscious self that's passing through different bodies. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind, and thus they enjoy a particular set of sense objects. Now then, this is what he says: the foolish, they cannot understand how a living entity can quit the body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization, right? The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Right? So even a brilliant mind can, if it's got some kind of envy in it, if it's got some kind of hostility in it, our attachments cloud our truth perception. And so even a brilliant mind will go and embrace some ridiculous, absurd idea, like maybe consciousness doesn't exist, rather than entertain a very plausible explanation here, right? That spirit, no matter what microscope you get, you're never going to find it because it's made out of a completely different type of energy. So the way that, so it's exactly what you're saying, Ragnar, it takes a certain type of, you could say, heart, right? And Krishna will say this to Arjuna. Arjuna, I'm explaining to this because you're non-envious, right? Therefore, you can understand these most confidential teachings. Several places he's going to say that in Bhagavad Gita, things like that.
Well, I'm sorry, did you finish your...
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, just in my own life as a musician, it's been a lifelong mountain to climb. Can I do this? Can I be on stage? Can I be a performer? Can I be entertaining and do it without ego? I can see in my own life that wasn't an easy task. It wasn't, I believe in this and now I'm healed. No, it's like a moment by moment fork in the road. You go one fork, past that fork, then you get this other fork, then you get this, and it's just it's like climbing a Himalayan peak to get over the ego. Right. The scientists have to do the same thing. They have to say, okay, can I use this vast intelligence that I have? Can I understand this consciousness? But can I do it without ego? Can I do it as an offering? Can I do it
truly objectively?
Objectively, and get my own, because in the same way a performer has an ego, in the same way a furniture maker has an ego, or a banjo maker has an ego, or everybody's got an ego in this world, right? In the same way, the scientists have an ego. And sometimes I'm very smart. People respect me. People, obviously there's so much ego when it comes to a person with great intelligence, but can I take that great intelligence and really just do like offer it to Krishna in a very, very humble way? That's going to be when then light starts to shine down.
It's such a good, in other words, yeah, to perceive truth is more than just intelligence, right? To really perceive truth requires the right heart, the right openness, the right humility. And Gopal Krishna on the chat board shared a quote from Nikola Tesla. Very interesting. It just hits the exact point that we were on, right? He said, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomenon, right? Spiritual phenomenon, right? It will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence, right? Just this one understanding. And, that's why I appreciate something like the research of someone like Ian Stevenson, right? It's like, okay, we might not be able to, and it should be taken seriously, right? That we might not be able to see the soul under a microscope, but how do we explain all these apparent instances where consciousness seems to transcend the body,
Right.
where consciousness apparently that there's evidence through testimony that consciousness was in a body previous to this, that someone could know all kind of things that they shouldn't be able to know. And so he just began to interview people on this and then follow up and check the validity of what they knew and what they're exposed to, if they had any real opportunity to know that without it having been something trapped in memory from another body. And you come up with all kinds of far out stuff that I would imagine people like that were on that panel might just not accept. But again, why not? Why not? How do you explain it?
Did you see did you see that quote I sent you yesterday? I think Aaron Erskine sent me.
I did see that. That's a quote I've been sitting on for a long time. But yeah, I was going to break that up.
Little science distances you from God, but a lot of science brings you nearer to Him. That's Louis Pasteur.
If you are truly objective, right?
Sure. Okay, but it's 7:02, so we got 7:03. We got to stop. Miss Mara, do you have some interesting little goodie nugget for us to take away today to apply to our life when things get tough?
I do. I got some good stuff. What am I outside of the presentation?
What am I outside of the presentation? Okay, yeah, the presentation of the false self.
Presentation of the false self.
We've got layers to shed before we get to our authentic self.
We got layers.
Onion, gobstopper.
Gobstoppers.
That'd be a good name for a band. We're the Gobstoppers.
We're the Gobstoppers from the Lower East Side. This one's called.
You suck.
All right, go on.
Our choices make our body.
Our choices make our body.
Interesting.
Our lamentations never end.
They never end.
It's miserable.
Oh my God. I'm lamenting about my lamentations, truthfully.
Okay.
Demigods are jubilant, humans lament, animals are afraid, and we're all miserable.
Oh, man.
Oh, happy Monday.
Well, let's become a demigod.
Yeah, now
Even they're miserable, it's saying.
Oh, what can I be?
We're spinning a cocoon of karma that's trapping us.
This is getting depressing.
Here, this gives you some hope. Go from karma spinner to mantra receiver.
Okay.
Karma spinner, mantra receiver. I like that.
Our entrapment comes from our desires.
That's right.
Yeah.
Attachments cloud truth perception.
For show.
Ooh, for show.
To perceive truth takes more than just intelligence.
Perceive truth. Yes.
Yeah, it takes more than that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
What you got?
shed a skin.
Okay. Like a snake or like an onion? Or like a gobstopper?
Onion flavored gobstopper. That would be good.
Yeah.
He goes through all different layers of forbidden foods.
Onion, garlic.
Oh, the next layer. Garlic. Oh, mushroom. Ah.
We're all miserable.
They're all miserable.
It's the forbidden food gobstopper.
I think that would be a good name for a band, the Gobstoppers.
It's definitely a 1981 hardcore band. Like, I
would
could see
think more like
Jiva
a
G
90s
singing
thing.
for the Gobstoppers, couldn't you?
I can see it being the Gobstoppers.
Jiva G, like teenage Jiva G singing for the Gobstoppers.
Yeah.
The
but I would
Gobstoppers, like
say-
an
it sounds more
all-girls
like
hardcore band.
It sounds more like a 90s thing to me than an 80s thing.
Gobstoppers? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Another great Monday talking about all the depressing things of having a material body. But you know what? There's good news. There's great hope. Guess what? You're not a material body. You're not a material mind. You're a spirit soul. You're more than your career. You're more than your job. You're more than your house. You're more than just being a partner to your partner, living in their shadow. You are a free living.
Is that how you feel?
Huh?
Is that how you
Living in
feel?
Mara's
Mara's
shadow.
like,
I'll
what?
never live up to her cooking. Let me share something about Mara. She cooks for me the best food every meal.
Very good. Healthy
It's
stuff,
like
Mara?
unbelievable the quality of
Well,
life I
then
have with
Raghunath,
Mary.
then this is the next step. You walk over into that closet back there, you get all those snacks, and you throw them out because you're getting 3 good meals a day. You don't need those things.
I don't need them. Now that I'm in my what's it called, empty nester syndrome.
Yeah,
Just got me and Tarun Tarun's only with me half the time.
yeah.
He eats a lot of snacks, so. Okay. No, Tarun.
Oh, I hate that many snacks.
No, Tarun.
Raghunath, when I'm over there, every time I walk by, you're coming out of that closet there, Raghunath.
It's a good closet. Hey, you know what? When I was little, we never had any snacks in the house. I think I'm rebelling. My mom was like the frugalest of frugal. There was nothing. She'd buy snacks that were not even tasty, so we wouldn't eat them. That's her theory.
So you wouldn't eat them.
I will buy cereal that people do not like, so people don't eat all the cereal. That's what it was like having 7 kids growing up.
All right.
I was on a roll here. I don't know what we were saying.
Now, are you
now.
cooking good, healthy stuff?
Oh,
Yes, we're happy.
Are you not using any of those vegetable oils that are
Well,
problematic?
she's the queen of the best quality oils.
I
Excellent.
use a good local, there's a sunflower oil, Hudson Valley sunflower
Ah.
oil, cold press. No, it's good. I
don't know if it's
cold press, like made from sunflowers that are grown here in the Hudson Valley.
We can help
We're gonna look into see what Dr. T has to say about it. But she says there's olive oil, there's avocado oil. These are good. Coconut oil can be good depending what time of year.
You gotta
And
be
then
careful your olive oil. Olive oil is oftentimes mixed.
No, well, you got to get good quality olive oil.
She's the mistress, the master
All right.
of great quality olive oil.
But ghee is the best.
Yeah.
Oh,
use
we
these too.
we get our ghee, Baba, from Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill, a himsa ghee.
Okay. All right. Just checking. That's all. All right, Raghu, this is going to be good for you.
It's great. Guess what else we got?
I'm looking at
Kumari-
Mira's
Krishna
microphone.
Kumari
Pick up your
came over.
microphone,
Hey,
man. It looks like it's got ghee on the microphone. It's looking all like slimy and slippery.
It's Raghu's microphone. That's fine.
Everything I own has food on it. Everything. My computer. It's a brand new computer covered in food.
Yeah, tell them about our local cow, though.
Yeah, we got a local cow. Krishna Kumari adopted a local cow. It was going to
I got
slaughter.
some of that milk. That was
Give
awesome.
me a half gallon. I don't drink
The
milk,
Himsa
though,
milk.
so I don't.
Oh, yeah, because Tuba got some last
You
week.
got some of that milk too. That's right. But you know what I do with the milk? I bathe my deities in it.
Okay.
Isn't that nice?
Beautiful.
I
Krishna
just don't
likes it.
drink it. I just don't drink milk.
But you see, the problem is they homogenize the milk. If you have unhomogenized milk, you're going to be able to digest it. Right?
I don't
It's
like
the
it.
homogenization.
It's not just that. It's
Okay.
not just that.
No.
Danny Kazakowski, where do you get your himsa ghee from?
You
I
can
get
buy
it
that
in
online.
India. I get it in India, Danny Kazakowski.
But you can buy
That's what I'm trying
himsa
to
ghee
bring you
online.
there.
Just Google a himsa ghee, you'll find.
Oh,
where you-
really?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Yeah, it's called margarine.
No. Margarine's
Ever-
really
ever-
bad.
Plant-based butter. I was like, I ate that in the 70s. It was called Mazola. What are you talking about? Plant-based butter. Oh, it's plant-based butter. I love plant-based butter. It's parquet. It's country crock. That's plant-based butter.
Country crock.
Okay, everybody. It's a beautiful day. For a beautiful day, let the magic continue to flow. Haribol!